welcome back to my channel, back with another video. As you can probably tell, I have come to the end of my first year and I wanted to do a little review, like how did I find it, and I thought the best way for me to do that is to give you guys a pros and cons video of studying med at UCL. Yeah, this is just based on my first year experience, and obviously this is just my opinion, so it can be different from person to person, but yeah. So I'm gonna start off with the pros, start off on a good note. So the first pro I would say is, when I say the lecturers that you're learning under are world renowned, like I'm not even joking. Example, like one of my lecturers this year, his dad was the guy who invented penicillin and he was teaching us like our infection and defense module. So like who better to teach us that module than him, you know what I mean? So when I say they've literally done amazing things in science, they are experts at the cutting edge of, you know, science, of their knowledge, of whatever they've specialized in. Obviously I can't really talk about teaching elsewhere because I've only learnt at one university, but it's just great to know that, you know, you're learning from the best of the best, and when you learn from the best of the best, you know, you're given the opportunity to also one day become the best of the best. In my opinion, a pro. Obviously, medicine is standardized such that wherever you learn medicine, it's the same. Like no uni, like when you apply for jobs, your foundation year jobs, they don't look at what uni you went to, because you know we are going to be doctors in the NHS. We have to be at a certain level, a certain standard. Okay, so I've mentioned a lot of pros in this video, and I feel like my channel as well. But now it's time to talk about the cons. You know, where is UCL Med or UCL? Where is it? The first con I would give, and this is about UCL medicine, is that there are times where it can just feel like a science or like biomedical degree. And I mean that in the sense that, you know, that humanist aspect, like it's like, where is it? At times it's like, where is it? Because it's like you're just doing lectures of science, them giving you fact after fact after fact after fact after fact, and it's like medicine, yes, you know, there is the scientific aspect, but there's also the people part as well, which is why I personally, you know, chose to do the UCL medicine. If you look it up online, they say it's an integrated course, which means
so there are different types of medical courses. One, a traditional course, which is split into preclinical and clinical years, with the preclinical years being very much theory-based, and then the clinical years, you have your placements and there's more patient contact. There's an integrated course, which UCL is stated online to be an integrated course, in which you have patient contact and the theory simultaneously. And then there are PBL, CBL courses known as problem-based learning or case-based learning. Problem-based learning being very much focused on small group teaching and small group learning. Case-based learning, learning on a case-to-case basis, but I'm not too sure about that one, so you might want to look it up.
So I came in and I expected the lectures and the science part, but I thought, you know, I'd also have like quite a bit of patient contact as well, but I found that that wasn't really the case. Like we did go into hospital like every week or every 2 weeks, but that was almost like learn in our tutorial groups rather than to actually meet patients. So yeah, in my opinion, I feel like it tends more to the traditional side of a degree. And what that meant is at times, because I really like the patient aspect, you know, meeting patients, speaking to people, at times I did find it a little bit hard because I was like, oh my god, like there's just lecture after lecture and so much information that, you know, some people like that though, some people like that part of medicine, but for me it just wasn't the most ideal. Yeah. Second pro of UCL Med, and this might just be UCL in general, I would say the social life. Fantastic, amazing. I feel like that is partly to do with the location, because London is such a big city, you never get bored in terms of there's always something to do. Like there's a range of clubs to go to if you don't like clubbing. There's lots of other activities if you like going to the theatre, coffee shops, or I can't really think of other things, but even like ice skating, bowling, like there's just such a range of things you can do. Whereas I feel like if you go to a smaller city, what I've heard from some people is like you're always going to the same clubs, to the same events, seeing the same people, whereas with London, like there's so many people to meet. And I think a really great thing as well is like you're close to quite a few other unis, so like King's or Imperial, like University of Arts London, etc. So obviously there's like the UCL community, but there's also the UOL community, UOL standing for University of London. So it's like a whole like wider range of people for you to connect with, relationships with, and it makes the social life like a lot more exciting as well. Like I feel like with me, I initially thought, you know, I'd have to sacrifice like a lot of my time for med, which I was okay with, you know. But finding that, you know what, I can still put my all into this degree, but still go out, still have fun, still live my best life was great. And obviously I've only been to this uni, so I don't know if it would have been the same at other unis, but that's what I found, which was really, really nice. I would say the next one is the med school culture. Okay, so to be fair, the med school culture wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, because I'd heard horror stories of like, you know, people just being extremely competitive, and it just not being like, you have to be wary of like who your friends are and, you know, who you surround yourself with, because, you know, people are backstabbers. So I don't think I experienced it to that extent at all. But I think it's more so like, let's say, for example, we have a medical school group chat. Sometimes people can, let's say some people can be a bit stressed out, and they can, you know, rant on that group chat, and it's like they're inflicting their stress on other people. Like, whereas you may have been chill, you look at the group chat and it's like, this person is low-key stressing me out. So for me, I dealt with that by having the group chat muted most of the time. And I think it's because I easily get affected by other people, in the sense that, like, I don't know, if something happens, people are like, oh my god, what does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? Oh my god, guys, results coming about. Like, and it was like, yo, like, just chill. Like, genuinely, sometimes, like, just chill. Like, not everything has to be so, like, anxiety inducing, and like, you don't have to be so on edge about everything. Because the way I see this degree is like, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So if I'm killing myself and stressing about the tiniest things in first year, like, how am I going to deal with like the massive things that are to come in later years? So I think that part is a bit hard. I don't know if that's the same for other degrees, but yeah, I just really didn't like that part of it. So the group chat was just a big no from me. I think the third pro about UCL Med, in fact this is just med in general, is that medicine is a pass-fail degree, which means the way that a lot of other degrees you have to aim to get, you know, a first or a 2-1 or a 2-2. With medicine, we don't have that. Like, at the end of your degree, you don't get, oh, I graduated the first class. No, like, you graduate as a doctor and you passed. That's how it works. So personally for me, I prefer that a lot more, because it's like, whether you got 100% or you got 70%, as long as you pass that pass mark, you are going to progress. You know what I mean? Like, it's exactly the same thing. I think it does balance out in the sense that in medicine, there is a ranking system. So in first year, we didn't actually get ranked. I think that happens in later years for us. Different med schools do it differently. But I guess the fact that you are ranked does give people that push of, you know, wanting to like do better and rank higher. And the significance of the ranking is, in later years, our ranking, I don't know how much of it determines it, but our ranking is taken into consideration when determining where we're going to work for our foundation years. So obviously in later years, like, people are, you know, working hard, trying to rank higher. And I think I prefer it a lot more, because personally for me, I think it's less stressful. Like, I think back to A levels when, you know, I don't know, a requirement for your university was they needed, let's say, A star AA, and you have to fight to get that A star in that one subject. Like, you know, the getting an 80% or getting an 85%, it matters. Like, it's the difference between two grades. Whereas now I've come into a space where it's like, I literally just need to pass. So like, obviously there is still some kind of stress, because, you know, I still want to pass, I want to do well, but it's not like, oh my god, like, my life depends on me getting 95%. Like, that has kind of gone away, which is kind of nice. And yeah. Okay, sorry, it got dark while I was filming. So the next one I'm going to talk about is the way they examine our exams. So in my opinion, I think sometimes there can be a misalignment between what they teach us, how they teach us in lectures, and how we get examined. And let me go more into depth with this. I feel like they teach us in a very factual way. Like, okay, you know, this is the disease and this, etc., etc. Like, you're just giving me a bunch of facts. You're telling me a bunch of things I need to know. But they examine from a patient aspect. Like, a patient comes in, you know, they have, you know, a fever, this, that, and they give the symptoms, and then, you know, you work from there. And I think especially for my first exam, I think it was a bit I wouldn't say shocking as such, but it did take me aback, because it's like, you could literally know all the facts, but if you can't apply it, you know, you're not really gonna get far. And it's not like A-levels where, you know, there's how many past papers to practice. Like, we don't have past papers to practice, so, you know, it can be a little bit tough. And I think another thing I found as well is, like, okay, let's say however many lectures you'll have, like about 5 lectures. Let's say you have 5 lectures in one day. They could examine something that was literally on one lecture slide, and not even just the fact that it was just mentioned in one lecture slide of like the 50 lectures you have for that module. It was mentioned on like one lecture slide, and the lecturer did not even go into depth about it. It just doesn't make sense. Like, there's so many other more important things I feel like you could have chosen to examine us on, and you chose that one tiny detail. And so I think that kind of makes you question your revision, and makes the revision process a bit harder, because you're like, okay, do I focus on general concepts, or do I need to know every and each individual detail? Okay, my next pro for UCL Med is that the only exams that matter are the exams that we sit at the end of the year. Well, I'm just talking about my first year experience, but that's how it works. So, okay, the way the year is set out is that we have 3 examination periods: an examination in first term, second term, and then final term, which is our summative. The other 2 exams in first and second term are known as formatives, and they do not count towards our progression into second year. They're just kind of to see where you're at, you know, are your revision techniques working, that kind of thing. So what I found, another thing with med as well, which I noticed compared to other degrees, or like friends I had doing other degrees, is that we don't really get that many assignments. Like, we have a lot of lectures and contact hours, our 3 examination periods, in which the last one was the one that counted for progression. And then we get like little one-off, like, I don't know, like one-off essays. I say in the year we had maybe like, someone can correct me, like 4 essays, like not that many, or maybe 5, I don't know, it wasn't that many at all. I would explain it was like, it was stressful every time there was an exam. It was stressful, like coming up to that period. So maybe 2 weeks up to the exam, it would be stress. Then once exams got done, no stress. Then the next exam comes, stress. Once that's done, no stress. Then when the next one comes, stress. So it was like throughout the actual year, there wasn't that much, it wasn't that stressful. Whereas if I compared it to like 6th form or A-levels, I felt like there was that constant, like, you know, homework needs to be due in, like university applications, like all that kind of thing. So it was a lot more chill, which is really nice. Whereas I felt like with other degrees, they had like all these deadlines, like this is due Monday, this is due Friday, this is due this is due this, whereas we didn't really have that, which was nice. Okay, the next con about medicine is, as blunt as I can put it, we don't really get days off. We barely get days off. Like, okay, so university is very different to secondary school in the sense that you go in every day, Monday to Friday. You know, you start at 8:40, you finish at, let's say, 4 p.m. It's very variable in the timetable. So I'd say with a lot of degrees, you know, you have some days off, or some days you only have like one thing to do, or, you know, stuff like that. But with medicine, you know, we don't have those days off, or like, you know, or like there's always a lot to do in a day. Let me say, like, you can have 5 lectures on Monday, 5 lectures on Tuesday, maybe on Wednesday we normally had less, so maybe like 1 to 3 lectures, it ranged. Thursday you're in hospital, and then you have some clinical and professional practice to do, then Fridays you have lectures again. So it was very heavy. And I think why that can get hard is because obviously, another thing I'm going to add to this is that as part of UCL Med, we do not get reading weeks. We do not get reading weeks. If you don't know what reading week is, it's basically like half term in secondary school, like weeks off. We don't get that. So we'd have something called a SIF week, which is where, you know, we'd have our exam in that week and we'd have less work, but there was still work. still work. But yeah, so we don't get that week off that people get. And what that means is that it's very easy to burn out because you're constantly working, like until, you know, Christmas time or Easter time or whatever. And, you know, there's so much to do. It's very easy to just get tired. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, there were weeks where I normally struggle to get out of bed, but like when I say genuinely like struggling to find the willpower to like get up and do work, because I was like, I've been working so much for so long and it's just like I feel drained. I feel like that is because of, you know, no days off and the no reading weeks as well, and the workload is large, and you know there's just so much, it's important, so it can get really, really tough and draining. Sometimes you're going to need to take time off for yourself and, you know, just take care of your mental health and your well-being, because it can get tough. Okay, another great thing, another pro I would say about UCL is that you are surrounded by amazing people, intelligent people that are doing great things. And you know that saying, not the dumbest in the class, you need to go to a different class, because you're only going to grow and develop as a person and improve if you're at the bottom of the class. People may hear UCL and think, oh my god, that's such a world-renowned uni, like wow, like you're doing so great, which you are, but then you come there and it's like so many people ahead of this, and you know they've researched this, or they've been on this magazine cover, and they've just done so many great things, and you're just like, wow, I am so average, like I am so average. But I say that, but not in a negative way. It's like you realize, you know what, wow, they've done great things, you also have potential to do great things as well, which is nice. Whereas I feel like when you're in a space where you're at the top, or you're at the top of your class, in which a lot of people who come to my uni have, like, those are the backgrounds they've come from, where they've been at the top, you can get comfortable and be like, yeah, you know, I'm already doing great things, or, you know, I'm fine, I'm doing good. But it's like you're put in this space where it's like, you know what, you're doing good, but you can do better. And I just find it very motivating. And yeah, just eye-opening for me, because I'm like, oh wow, like I can do things I never even thought I could. That is one thing I definitely loved as well. Okay, so the last pro I would say about UCL Med, also could be UCL in general once again, is the opportunities. So funnily enough, let me give some context. So I saw this video on TikTok which was talking about how going to a less prestigious med school might actually be more beneficial in the long run. And the main point that was made was the fact that, you know, when it comes to your final year and you do get ranked, you know, if you're in, let's say, less prestigious, less competitive med school, you're kind of putting yourself in a better position in terms of you're more likely to rank higher and therefore get the foundation jobs that you've applied for. Whereas if you're in a more prestigious uni, it will be harder to rank higher and get those jobs. And just to give background, with medicine, it's like in your final year or whatever, however your med school does it, in your final year, we were all ranked, and you're ranked against the people in your university. So somebody that ranks number 1 at Cambridge will be the same as someone who ranks number 1 at a less prestigious university. So the TikTok was discussing how, you know, being at a less prestigious university will be easier to rank higher and therefore easier to get your foundation job. And I remember I first saw this and I was like, oh my god, like there is like so much truth behind this, like damn. Like, you know, I mean, like, oh, maybe I should have thought about this before I applied to medical school. But then, now actually going through first year, you know, talking to people, I realized I would say a pro about more prestigious medical schools, or I'm just talking about my med school, is the opportunities. Like, not even just from the fact that, as I said in an earlier point, like your lecturers are at the cutting edge of their fields. Not even just that. But when I say the opportunities are there if you want to take them, like medical society, like they'll send you like lots of emails of things you can do, like going to different conferences, meeting different people and networking. I even explain, obviously you have to go and look for it, but you don't have to look that hard. Like they're kind of handed to you if your eyes are open. So it kind of, for me, I think it just allows you to become like a more well-rounded individual. Like obviously, yes, you're doing a medical degree, but it allows you to also do other things outside and like just, you know, like sharpen other skill sets that you have, which I really, really like. I'm even trying to think of examples of like opportunities that I need. Like there's opportunities, let's say, to like give back and like help younger students who are trying to go into medicine, or opportunities to like go on wards and work with like certain like doctors and like shadow them and like whatever speciality you choose, or like just conferences with people who are like further on in their career. It just really allows you to branch out, which, I mean, as I said, I don't know about other unis, but I think this is something that's very characteristic about UCL.